Okay, so for the people who don't know me, my name is Dimitri Gielis. I'm from Belgium. I'm the founder of United Codes. And with United Codes, we do two things. Like one is we build custom applications, we do consulting. And the other thing is we build or we have some products which we give to other people. If you go to the website, unitedcodes.com, you will find a bit more information. And I just wanted to scroll down here to the products. Like the most known product is Apex Office Print. I think many people know this one, and it's used quite a lot to print to PDF or to export to Excel. But I want to talk today about Apex Project I, which not many people know yet. But with on Apex World, there was a lot of interest in this product, and we use it a lot too when we do our consulting projects. So I thought it was a good idea to get you familiar with the tool, and I'm really interested to hear your feedback too. So what you think, if this is useful or not, okay? So I wanted to start with a few questions to you, like when you do development, like what are the missing things that you're doing, or like what questions pop up? Do you have any questions? Like, no questions. Alex maybe has a question. Are there issues that you face when you're doing development, when you work with multiple people?
Yeah. Because if you're all working on the same screen, then you don't know what's happening everywhere on the screen. People can if you're working on the same page, same application, same page, then yeah, well, everybody could be changing something in the source code. What I most the thing that I have most problems with is our properties, which are a little bit scattered.
Yes. So one of the issues that is raised here on the table is like you're using some properties, maybe your colleague is using different properties. Like how can you have a combined view of using those properties? Like how would you do that? Alex, how would you do that?
Oh, I don't know. How would you do it?
So you can talk to your colleagues and you can say like, hey, this is our standards that we are using, but you have to make sure that they follow the standards. So how could you do that? And one way would be to use Apex Project I. So when we now log into Apex Project I, so you can just go to the website, apexprojecti.com, you can download it. When you install it, like you log in, and this is basically the dashboard that you get. And there's a lot on this in this product, but like, okay, I'll go first. I give you a bit of a tour here, and then I will answer the question how you can check what your colleagues is doing.
What's the purpose of?
So the whole purpose while we built Apex Project I is that we had many issues working with the same people, or we were doing the same things over and over again. For example, I was being asked, can you do an audit of my Apex application? A customer asked, can you do this? So what did I do? I went into the application, go page by page, look at some of the things. Or I had some pre-built scripts, which I ran to check a few things. But it was really cumbersome to do. So this was one thing. I wanted a tool to help me with that. During development, it was the same thing. Like, how do we assure that we have quality assurance? How do we create documentation automatically? The same with like testing. But so Alex asked me now, like, what is the purpose of Apex Project I? The real purpose is to help you to build better Apex applications. This is the purpose of Apex Project I. And the other purpose is to give you more insight into your Apex applications. And for example, Alex is doing a project. He took over a project we started. So like, yeah, he smiles like we probably did like bad things. We didn't use Apex project I at that moment. So we were like, I think there were 6 people on the project. We were building things. Some things worked, some things probably didn't. They were maybe not always consistent. Maybe we forgot certain things. For example, on security, like we didn't use this tool at that point. But even more, like we left the project. Alex takes over. Like, how did he get inside what we were doing? We didn't have a transition period. The customer didn't allow that. So all this we want to solve with Apex Project I. So I wanted to go over, like, what do you do have in development? What do you do in testing? Which questions do you have in testing? Which questions do you have? How do you do debugging? Like, one of the main things that we have, or how shall I phrase that? Like, how can you become a hero in your company? Do you like the DBA who is constantly, like, you call him and he's fixing something? Or do you like the DBA you never have to call because everything is running smoothly? So we wanted to have the same principle with Apex. We want to detect errors in the applications while they're happening, and you call the customer while instead of they calling you. And you should have full traceability. What have they done? Because it happens like this, like you get an email and they say like, hey, I got this error. And then like, can you give us a bit of more context? And then probably you wrote like a template for error, like if an error happens, use this template, but it's hard. So like this was one of the things, like how can we look at those errors? How can we prevent those? QA, how can we started with that, documentation, auditing, SLA. I don't know who's dealing with SLAs. So if one person, so service level agreements, like how do you make sure that Apex is running smooth, basically? How do you make sure that Apex is running smooth today, but also tomorrow and next year? If you have, like, you have to guarantee uptime, how do you do that? So those questions, like, those are the different topics I wanted to cover, okay? If you want to see the different questions I have, like here, let me go a bit more into like specific questions on development, and then I'll jump into Ape. Like, how will a change in the data model affect my Apex app? Somebody is changing a table and it breaks the Apex app. If I touch this object, will my app break? How will a change in the Apex page affect the flow of my app? So what I mean with that is, if you think this page is not being used anymore, you remove the page. Are you sure that it's not being linked to from other places? How do I get to a certain page? How are pages being connected? Like, if I don't have a navigation on the left, like, how do people actually get to this page? Right? Like, it's a valid question. Which database objects are being used by my Apex page or by my app? Like, I'm going to remove this table. Is it actually being used? Which page is built on this table? Like, this was a classic example. We had an AOP template table, which stores the templates of the invoices and the other documents. I wanted to know, can people actually upload their own template? So I wanted to know, where is the Apex page to do this? Because I couldn't find it in the navigation. So I used Ape to do this. How do I translate an app? Who needs to do a translated app? In the Netherlands, it's not so common. In Belgium, it's really common. Like, how can I be more productive? How can I see the ERD behind the app? So this is just on the development, but let's go to the tool and let's have a quick look what we get. So you install Ape, and Ape basically uses the metadata that Apex generates to give you insight in your Apex applications. Okay, many of those things are somewhere hidden in Apex. Like you have an activity monitoring, you have you have an advisor, you have certain things, but it's really hard to get to all of that. So the first thing we wanted to do is when you enter, we give you a view on your instance, the Apex instance. So all your workspaces, all your applications. No, it depends the role that you have if you see all the workspaces and all the applications. So if you have the Apex administrator role, you will see everything. You will be God. If you don't have that role, you will just see the workspace where Ape or Apex Project I is installed into. So we don't have this role. We only see in this workspace here, we see the top applications. So we have those applications in this workspace. Here we have some key figures like how is the performance going? This is particularly interesting for like if it is running in production and we want to see like, are things behaving worse or not? Performances by day. So here we see by day, like how are things going? We can always go into the details. So we have like those kind of things. We click on them and we get the details. How did we come to those graphs? And then you can, like this is an interactive report, you can slice and dice even further. Yeah, you can go into like more details like this too. So then here we see latest activity in the workspace. So who is currently working? So 1 second ago, Stephanie was in this workspace doing something. I have 7 applications in this workspace, 10 people connected to this, and those are the 10 people who were in this workspace. Those are the database objects. Just a quick overview of that. I can click on this and I get like more details. So you, of course, you can go to SQL Workshop, you can go to SQL Developer, you get this information too. But if you sometimes we only get Apex access to a customer. They don't give direct access to the database. So this really helps us to get insight. And here something is flashing. There are some invalid objects. So I need to look and then, okay, those are invalid objects. I probably want to check those. Okay. Top 10 tables by size. This is more for like to see consumption over time or consumption over time. Here we have a quick view on who is using which application and when did they last log in. And then here we have some mail queue and mail log, like if something got stuck, we want to know that too. So this is just a dashboard, the high level overview of your workspace, your Apex environment. And now you can drill down into it. So this is the concept, okay? So let's say we want to go into this application. I click on the application and then I get again, like we start with a dashboard and we have some navigation on top. Okay, any questions so far?
It's built upon the information that Apex provides with its views that he has.
Yes, the activity views.
There's a lot of views there.
Yes.
Sometimes don't know what they are using.
Yeah. This is heavily using the Apex dictionary.
Yeah.
And one of the issues with the activity monitoring in Apex is it keeps like 4 weeks of data.
Yeah.
Like it has 2 tables, it goes 2 weeks into one table, then it rotates 2 weeks into the other table. And so you have approximately 4 weeks of data. What if you need to prove that your application ran fine for 1 year? You have to capture this data. So in Ape, we built something where you can say, I want to keep this. This is the retention time I want to keep.
Just lie.
We have all the data.
Yeah.
Well, you have the data who logged in, but yeah.
They're run fine for you, yeah.
But if you have to prove, Alex, then
Show the rules.
okay. But so if I would look back, like how will a change in the data model affect my Apex app? How would I do this? Right? So we would go into here, and like on the right, you have always some filters, so you can click those away. So the first question is, like, I will start with a data model. Like I will start with a database object. So ideally, I would go to the entity relationship diagram. And then here I can say, generate the ERD of this basically schema, which is attached to this workspace. I could include or exclude objects. I will just generate the whole thing, but like there are over 100 tables here. So, but I'll just like, this might take a bit of time. And this, like, of course, it doesn't look great if you have so many tables. You can, of course, now zoom in.
Because this is a plugin or is
We bought actually this is a plugin that we created, but we bought the software which is able to create some graphs like this. And like we have an unlimited license, so we can ship it with the product. So doing this, like it is some kind of okay, but like we didn't really find a really good, like it's too much. There are too many tables. So if you use some standards, let's say with all our customers have a prefix with CAS, like customers related tables. So I could just say, okay, give me anything related to customers. So I'll do that, and then I get much less. So now I can go into this here. I have customer assets property. I have customer assets. Oh, sorry.
And you can drag them around.
Yeah, I can make them more pretty. Sorry. Like if you have a small screen, it's not so easy to do. If you have a big monitor, then it's a bit easier to.
Does it generate every time, or is it just saving also if you drag them around?
So that's an achievement that I really want, is to be able to save it in the way that I've taken my time to do it, but that's on our list. We haven't done it yet.
But so also here, when you click on a table, like it will highlight the other tables which are connected to it. So you have a quick visualization where things are going. And then of course, like if you're saying, okay, what is built on this customer table, or I want to have some more information, like you can zoom in and you can see here, like primary keys, foreign keys. Hopefully you have an ERD which you printed. This is one of the first things I do when I need to go into an application and check what is going on here. I print the ERD, but here what we did is we make it, you can double click on it. So now I can see, okay, for this customer, give me like object details. I don't know what it's doing. Maybe I should have taken a different table. Okay, it's here. So it has some basic info, like how many rows are there in this table. Like this is quite a big table, I guess, 107 rows. The details of this table, I could edit it too. I can add some comments on the columns, which for documentation purposes is quite nice. Who modified it, some relationships. So here I see the relationships that this thing has, this table has. Well,
You can pop that open.
sorry, like that. So here I see, I took like a big table, but so it has all this lookup tables, relationships. But now, like the real question was, if I touch, so how will a change in the data model affect my Apex app? Well, you saw it a bit from the ERD, but also like, let me see. So which database objects are being used by my Apex page? Like here we are doing it a bit the other way around. So let me move on a little bit. So we have indexes, constraints, okay, the relationships, we went into that. But here are component dependencies.
Mhm.
So when I look into this, oh, scroll. So here I see all the pages that use this table. So here, for example, overview of load, there's a region that uses this table. There's a page item list of values, which is using it. So here I see all the pages that will be impacted if I change this table. Then object dependencies, which other objects are using this table, and then some sample data. What is in this table actually? Well, it's customer data, so I can just view that. Okay, so this is like one question answered.
Is there also another way around that you can see which pages aren't used?
Yeah, so this is exactly the questions we had too. So sorry, the not
Not
oh
used.
Not enter.
Which pages are not
That's a minus. It's a
So
simple
if you
minus.
create a page and and you don't have a link to a table or
okay, so well,
orphans.
yeah, like we can create, like I can show you in a minute, but so we went from bottom to up, like we went from the data model up in the application. We can do it the same thing, but from top to bottom. So there are two ways to do it, like the tree view or page flow. Let me first go into page flow because this is more, again, I took, like here, this is basically your Apex application with page groups. Like, again, I can zoom in. So we use page groups. So for example, administration, page group, DAX is like, this is a project where we migrate Dynamics, Microsoft Dynamics to Apex, customer and context. So all the pages related to customer and context I see here, I see relationships between them. If there's a bigger line, it means there are more links to that page. For example, if you have a report with all links and you have a breadcrumb plus a navigation, it means you can go in different ways to that page. So again, here, what I can do is I can click on a page and I see the relationship. So this page links to that. From here, I go away. So red comes in, green goes out. I can also double click on it, and then I see the objects that are being used by this page. So let me, where is it? Here, object dependencies. So of course, it's not only tables, it's also packages and other objects that might be used. So, and it's always, you can drill down into this as well. So, but there's much more here. So we use help a lot. So for every page we want, for example, help. So in Ape, it allows you to create a help, not from this screen, but from another. Here are the components. So you get an idea on the complexity of this page. So 20 regions, 41 items. The links. So here you see the links. Where is it going to? So a breadcrumb, there's a branch, there's a button. Security, of course, super important for the page. Some information. So Christina updated this, last updated on 2nd of March. And here are the recent errors that happened. And this is, of course, interesting to know. So yeah, like 76 minutes ago, there were some things going on here. We had a no data found error as well. Performance of this page, okay, it's not too bad, like it's okay. So this is going from the top to bottom. Okay, I could do the same thing from the tree view. So if you want to look at the Apex application, like how would you do it. Of course, you can use the page flow, and then on the right hand side, you have many filters that you can use, only this page group, or you could use this tree view that we created. So we have here customer services, because this is the application name. Then we have here the page groups. Who's using page groups? Only a handful of people. I really find it useful, but like here, if you don't use it, then everything is under unassigned. Well, this thing is in the way, I think. So yeah, like we shouldn't have a page which doesn't have a page group. And this price book thing is something I did. So it's
Part of the demo.
yeah, hopefully we can find that actually. Like well, I can click on this page, and then I get the information of this page. And so here I get some metrics. I can enter the help here of that page. Some more info, and then more or less the same as what we had with the page flow. So links, security is in here, performances, object dependencies, and then errors that there were on this page. If I take here a different page, assets, so I can drill down into a page. And so I can see here the buttons that are on that page. I can see the items that there are. So you can see the processes. So you don't have to go into Apex. If you just install Apex Project I, you get a lot of insight into what's happening. And I find this really useful when I have to do an audit. Okay. Questions?
Are you changing anything from here to the actual app? Like, for example, the help, which you said, like, so is help something is going to store here, or when you do something, it will actually go and stored in the app itself?
Yeah, it's going to change the app. So let's say this price book, which is really like not good. Like let's say I need to have an help in here, like this page provides a price calculator. So now this, if I now go into the app, so this is page 24, as you can see here. So I'll go in here and I'll go into page 24.
And there is the help.
Well, hopefully, otherwise there's a small bug, I think. So when we scroll down, here's help text, and this is what I entered. So, but why did we create that? You have an ID? Who needs to enter the help? The developer has to do it now if you don't use the tool. It's in the development, like, so you need to ask your customer or like whoever is doing, hey, give me help for every page. Give it in Excel, they give you the Excel, then you have to copy and paste in here, then it's like HTML, like you want to make something bold, it's hard. So we were fed up with it. What are you laughing, Alex?
I think there's a question. Oh.
The question is, are there any questions?
Sorry.
But yeah, like I really like.
It's good that it can be understood, but it's something that in the organization that I worked in, that the business analyst created the help.
And how did they enter? They went into the app.
Between the IT and the customer and
Yes.
the users who understood both parts and who was able to enter the help. So we did it with the single files, right? So copy paste.
Yeah, copy paste. And then again, like so now I made like price, I made bold. So now here it is strong, right? Like
Strong as bull.
Is it also possible for the guy who is looking at the dashboard, or in this case, the page, to enter feedback that's passed back to the developers? Because that's something you have in the Apex builder. No, well, you can say we have this feedback page, and people say, okay, I have feedback on this page, and they can enter it. There might be something in here that you say, oh, I see something missing, or there's something not okay. That
it's a very, very good feedback. At the moment, it's not yet in. We have one of the features we are working on, or it's like a ticketing system, like a Kanban. So like issues come in, like what you just said, we do this. So here, this is the application, right? And here is the feedback.
Yeah.
And like we are redoing this. So now the feedback comes into team development or issues or feedback of Apex itself. But we are making a better version, we think, which we will include in Ape in the future. Well, yeah.
I think it's pretty basic, but for the time it's okay.
Okay, so then of course, like people say, hey, this is really cool, but like when I change my page here, I want to see what you're doing. Oh, this is locked, this page. Oh, by me. It's good because there are other people working on it. At least I did something good. So you see, you cannot touch other, like other people cannot make changes on this page. Okay, so there's an eye here from Project Eye. So what you can do is you can see live what is going on. So you need an extension. It works for Chrome or Firefox. I already installed the extension, but what happens then is when I know, when I navigate through my app, like it should update here too. So now I have a second screen. Let's say we have two screens. While I'm working, I get the information from Ape. So now I know this page, okay, those are the links. This is some information, the performance, object dependencies, the errors that there are. So you can just work as you normally do. And automatically your second screen here will be changed. And that's really powerful. And there's maybe one person on Earth using this. So, and that's Jackie. No, like.
You need to install the extension in the developer browser, in the browser in which you develop.
Yeah.
Because he has to send.
Yeah. So we are still looking into if we are going to keep it that way. Like, why are people not using it yet? We don't know. So we need to find that out. So this is one of the questions I have to you, like later. What can we improve to make your life easier?
Yeah, I wonder what you would be curious about to have on that second screen. There's already so much on the Apex build screen that maybe the 8 is a little bit.
Like once we have the tickets in, like we call it tickets or the feedback or the issues, those are useful to have on the second page. The errors that people had, this is useful. Object dependencies, okay, like you probably know after a while what is on the page, but
the regions and the buttons and all those things that are on the page are not so interesting because you already see them in the building. It would be something like which tickets are involving this page.
What did you say, Alex? No errors?
Yeah, it says recent errors, no data found. Is that the error or is that like there is no?
Yeah, we should change this. No errors, you're doing good. Happy face. Okay. Yeah, like if on the other side there are any questions in Zoom, then please.
Not yet, Dimitri.
Okay, great. Okay, so can I close the second screen or yeah? Okay. Okay, so let's look at the other questions we had. So how will a change in the Apex page affect the flow of my app? This is with page flow. You can see what happens. How do I get to a certain page? Again, like with page flow, you can do that. How our page is being connected, we answered that. Which database objects are being used by my Apex page or app? We have seen that. Which page is built on this table? We have seen it. How do I translate an app? So I will do it fast because people here don't use it, right? Or I should skip it maybe.
No.
No.
But so a typical way of doing translations, this is you go into shared components, you go into translate application, and then you follow this wizard. So this application is translated, we develop in English, it's translated to Dutch and French.
Handy.
Sorry?
That's handy.
Yeah, like this is just built in Apex. Like you just say create, you give like an ID, you say which language you want to translate to, but then it starts. Like once you have done that, oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. So then you need to seed translatable text. So what this is doing, it will look into your, so now there were like 9,000 strings. This was done 11 days ago. So it will go over your app and check every string that needs to be translated. And it will create like an XLIF file for that. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't have done that. So now it's like, this is live. We are translating this application. Like, what does it take? So we had 9,000 strings 11 days ago. So now we have 10,770 strings. So now we have to translate those strings. So the way that the Apex team did it is, okay, you download an XLIF file, export XLIF file for the entire application. I can also do it for a certain page. So this, again, will take a little bit of time to export the entire XLIF file. But it's basically an XML file, which has the ID of the string, a source text, and a target text, which you would need to translate. So here's the XLIF file. I can open that. So here it is. So you have those IDs and then source dashboard, target dashboard, invoice with inspector. Okay, so, and then you basically send this off to a translation agency, or you have to translate it yourself. You can use an editor for it. There are some on the market. Once it's done, so translate text, then apply XLIF. So you get a new XLIF file, you upload here. That's it. And then once you upload it, you have to publish here, publish. Okay, so we didn't like this download XLIF file, upload XLIF file. So we wanted to make that easier. So what we have done here is we have a translation engine, if you want. And here is basically all the seeds or like all the strings that are in your application. It's listed here. So what was it, like inspector, invoices, something, invoices with inspector and payment type. So what I can do now is I can edit it and I can say, okay, invoice with inspector and payment type. This is factuur van inspecteurs, ja. En betaling. Oké, maar we hebben de volgende versie. Hoef je dit zelfs niet te doen. Oh, sorry. I switched to Dutch. But it's perfect because I was doing translation. So I was checking who was. Okay, so in the next version of this screen, or actually a screen before, we will have DeepL integration and it will do the translation for you. So it will translate everything and then you can customize it. But what you can do, so today you can make the translation here. You can say update all occurrences of this string, because the string might be used throughout your application. Then we have some status, approved, in review. We can exclude or include certain things. And then we can say save, and that's basically it. So now you see, like, all the things got translated automatically, but again, here we want to give the power to the end user, not the end user like a business user or somebody who was going to do the translations. They didn't want to go into an agency, they use this, and then they have like exclude, what is excluded, what is included. We want to see the status that is approved, like we have some quick things to do. Okay, that's basically what this is. And then what we will also have is you can publish straight from here. Once this is done, there's a publish button. It's not here in this version, but in the next. And then you don't even need to go into Apex, and it will do the publication for you. So
it generates a new application.
Yeah, so every translated application has a unique number.
Yeah.
So
when you
it will
publish
update.
It generates the complete new application.
Yes. And this is actually, I'll call him our colleague, but it's Dirk Stark. He did a plugin for it. So you can download the plugin as well. He helps us with Plugins Pro too. And we will include his plugin in Ape. And then you get that functionality. So that's translations. Any questions on translations? Vragen over vertalingen?
We used to do
Not on a Zoom session.
Sorry?
We used to do it with JavaScript. After the page loaded, then the JavaScript was going runtime over the page and doing the translation.
Yes. We have another customer who has like an e-commerce site, and we built the Google Translate, and this is the same concept that it's doing Google Translate on the fly.
We also had a user who was doing it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you can do it now in the browser, right? Like, so how can I be more productive? Okay, like hopefully by using Ape, you will be more productive.
Yeah.
Nee. Okay, so then like we come into, so this was more like development focused. Okay, so now we come into testing, and here are a few questions that we raised, like who tested my app, when did they test? Like people say, like we go give it to them and we say test, and then they say we tested. Well, did they? We have seen a lot that they didn't really do it. And then are they telling the truth?
Yeah.
Like that's, yeah, we tested for 2 days. Really? Like we look and then it's like 2 hours.
3 days.
What errors did they get? And again, here, like how do they give you the errors? Like it comes down to that. How are people using my app? Is the flow the same as what I intended? Like, do they click 15 times to come to a screen while there's actually a link for the screen? Which errors are most frequently being seen, and how can I remotely debug a user? So when it's really a hard thing to do and it only appears with this user, how could you debug that user? Have you ever done that on a call? That they call you and they say, hey, I have an issue, can you, what do you do then? The Zoom session, and then you look at their screen?
Yeah, team viewer, but there's also possibility, the option for looking at the session variables of the user. Well, it's, yeah, that's
Apex session that attach.
yeah, you can attach it in SQL Developer, for instance, but you can also in Apex itself, you can look into the session values of any session once you know the session. So that's how we did it. And looking at TeamViewer, looking at the user using the screen, seeing what he's clicking, when he's clicking where, and what he's doing.
Yeah, so we did this before we had Ape too.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And now we still do it
Yeah.
that way. And sometimes it's very good to do it that way. But we also use a different technique, which I will show. But so first, like the answers to like, are they actually doing the testing? And the errors that they got, like you can actually see this in the dashboard. So recent errors, here you see like which session got an error. But here it's really, it's this screen, which is really useful for us. So here we see like this person in an electro test, the 23rd of February, they logged in. So we can see here a bit, we can see who are the top users. But what is really interesting, like, okay, I see that they have an error here, recent error. Like this is a hardware, an unexpected internal application error has occurred. So I can click on it. And now I go into session flow. We go into a different tab. And this different tab, what does it do? It basically shows me that session of that user. So what did they do? They came into the login. So we are going to replay their session. So there are 14 steps that they did. And let me zoom out a bit again. So I can just like click through now and I see they go from the login page to catalog group profile. Then they go to planning. Then they go to request. Then they go to catalog group profile again. Then they go to inspection profile, like how did they do that? Maybe did they use the back button or not? Then they went to inspection profile again. They stayed there, they did something, address, went back then to appointment, stayed on the appointment, back to address, appointment, stayed there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then this was done, right?
Yeah.
So that was their session. Now I didn't show there's some stuff here as well. So let's do it again. And now look at the request details. So here we go. So I showed already that. So it's no moving. And here we see, okay, this was Stephanie who logged in and she did some things. There was a plugin being used. And here are some request values that she did. And now we go further. So, well, again, like there's other stuff that she's doing, customer service, something with has to do with customer service rendering. But if I look at this, like something is going on here, but anyway, I should check that. Let's move on. Did I click? Yeah, I see the elapsed time too. So this took 1.1 seconds. And here's the error that she got. So she went from here, and then she did some action there, and then she got this error.
Highlight the session that got the error.
Sorry.
If you know where the error is, you can highlight it in that graphical presentation.
True. Yeah. Yeah, but it's not always the errors that I will do.
No.
My last slide is an interesting one. My last thing that I will show you, and we will use this to find out.
The mobile application. Is the session flow also monitored and rendered between different applications?
So yes, the answer is yes. So this application basically consists of two applications. Sorry, yes.
Dimitri, one question in the chat box. It stated we have a lot of applications. Is the session flow also monitored and rendered between the different applications?
Yeah, so I was actually just going to handle that, Marty.
Okay.
So this application is, you can see it here, page like app 678. When I stay within this application, it stays 678. But when I go to admin, I actually switch to a different page, page 408. So this application exists out of two apps behind the scenes as well. So Ape can actually check both apps at the same time. Like it will show up at the same time.
Okay. Thanks.
So, and this is like here we show the application ID you are in. I don't know if there's like a, yeah. So I hope that answered the question. Okay, any other thing with the session flow thing?
It's really nice.
Like,
So that follows a single session. So if you clone your session, it follows that session. It goes on session ID.
it depends, Alex. So
Okay.
here, this is based on this session. So you're right, this is for one specific session. But when I would go in here in session flow, I come actually in like this. So I can now see the users and I don't have a session. I could check over all my users.
Okay,
How are
so
they
you can
using
follow
the app?
same user even over.
So I can, I don't know what will happen if I click this because there's a lot of data. Let's just try it if this is doing something. So normally what should happen is it will look at all the users and it will generate how the application is being used. But only, and this is an important parameter. Yeah, okay. Minimum page views. So any user who has less than 10 page views is excluded out of this diagram. So we can customize this, but anyway. So here we see how people are actually using the application, but this is maybe not, well, so there are some lines here and we can click on the line so we can see where they are going, but the bigger the line, the more people use that. But so this is, I don't think this is super useful, but if I wanted to say, okay, how am I, or like Christophe, how is Christophe using the app compared to GP, for example? This is useful because here I can see this guy is mapping customers. So in Microsoft Dynamics, they have multiple customers who are actually the same. So we built a screen to map them to one specific customer. And he is into this. So he's doing a lot of mapping of customers. And we built the integration with Company Web. So if I now look at GP, like he has been a bit more over the place. So he was entering assets. He was looking at inspectors. He was into some planning, but most of his time is spent on a list of inspections, like building out, basically, he was setting up all the inspections for a specific, like his domain. So you can see how that is. And then you can go into any session and then you can see, okay, what did he do in that session? And you get the details here as well. Okay. You can also highlight a page if you're saying like, I really want to know like, where's this page? Because in this big overview, we didn't really see what was happening. Where's this page? So you can highlight the page too. So this is session flow. Okay, one other question. Oh. Okay.
I have one question. Here, so all the custom apps which are developed, those you are able to track it here. What about the standard Apex apps like in which we do, or Apex Builder itself? Can I see a developer in my team? What all things he had changed with this one?
Yeah, you can do that too. So you would need to have the Apex administrator role.
Yeah.
And then like if the logging is enabled for that thing. So here you would pick then the builder in the application, and then you would see what developers are doing. Well, I never tested it, but in theory that should work. So well,
We don't like it.
but I can show you, like, this is,
Big brother.
if people know Apex, like, you can just go here, you can go to monitor activity, and here you can see what the developer did too. But we, like, you have those screens to your disposal, but if you look at, if we really want to see how to trace an error, how did people use the app, it's really hard to do it from reports. So this is why session flow is really nice. Okay. So did we answer all the questions? How are people using my app? Is the flow the same? Which error are most frequently being seen? We didn't really see that, but what you can do is, scroll down. I guess I need to go into an app first. So on all those dashboard things, we have those arrows. So if I go to recent errors, I can just click on this and then I get more details. And then you could add here a filter, or you can do some compute aggregation, and you get like which errors are most used. So you could like do with the interactive grid whatever you want. You can also look at specific ranges of dates, and then you can go into like specific session. Okay, like testing. Okay, any other? So remote debugging, we didn't really do this yet. So this is a tab that I didn't use yet. So when I go to users, and then I go into my application, I see who's actively using the application now. So this application is used by me and by Stephanie. Inactive, so they were in before, but currently they are not using it. And then here are some others that have been using it, or yeah, but not now. Okay, so now what I can do is, if I click on myself, I see here the sessions. I forgot which session I have. 6.4. Let me refresh that. Let me see if I can click here. Okay, so you basically pick a session, and then you see what people are doing here. So on page 29, 28 minutes ago, like there was something happening, like Ajax. Okay, this is a dynamic action probably that's being fired. Here was a page being called. Here's the builder stuff, 4,500. Oh no, that's the page. Sorry, it's not the app. App 4,500 is the builder, but this is page 4,500. So, but what I can do now is I can say here, debug, like debug this session. And then this is the level of debug information. So I can debug the session. I can also trace the session if I wanted that. So now, like, I don't know if she will do something, but you will get here a link with the debug information. Well, maybe I can debug my own session. But I didn't see my session in here. We have done some caching, and I disabled a few things here, like this session. I didn't really see yet. 8864. 8864. I don't see that. Oh, but it's. Okay. So there's, let me run the job sync. So to gain performance, we basically sync every hour the activity logging, but you can customize that. So it's all setting. So let me try and sync. Oh, okay, forget it. I need to connect to the VPN and all that. And we just switched rooms, so I prepared it, but it's gone.
Okay, speaking of performance, can you detect that as well? That's simple. Locking tables or some statement is hanging to complete system.
Well, you will, when the complete system hangs, you will definitely notice that. But yeah, who did it? But like those graphs is what we currently have. The user, yeah, you can check the user, like who is building up time. You could do that. But like who is locking objects? I don't think we have this yet. That question is not answered yet.
Can we do a small break?
Sure.
Yeah. For those who need to go to the restroom.
Okay.
I
We will do a 10-minute break, okay?
Okay, fine.
Or 5 minutes or
Yeah.
Right, then.
10. Okay. 10-minute break.
He needs to smoke.
That is our